You're tuned into SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
All right, grab a drink and grab a snack. It's time for SEC Sunday Night right here live on the Chief Sports Network, and we are proudly presented by Hewitt Domaduris Law Firm, brand new presenting sponsors, and we're super excited about that because they are personal injury lawyers, and at Craig's age, you fall and get hurt a lot, and so if you might need somebody to defend you against whoever it is, and you know they cover it all: accidents, dog bites, all the things. If you can't remember Hewitt Domaduris, just call them, and it's hdlawsc.com if you want to check them out and tell them you heard about it on SEC Sunday Night, and you need to get in with those guys as soon as possible. Craig, happy Father's Day, first of all, and welcome to another Sunday Night with me, my friend. How's it going?
Great. Happy Father's Day. Well, school was out this week, and I'm really glad that we've got Hewitt Donis with us now because I golfed 18 holes on Monday, 18 holes on Wednesday. We played a scramble on Monday. We were 18 under, still did not win. We were only 8 under on Wednesday, but you know what? Here's why I'm going to have to call the guys. Shoulder pain right here. Like, I don't even know what that is. I'm not even sure what I was using. Maybe I was just too much man for the club.
Well, here's what we do first. We called Mitch at TriFit, TriFitPerformance.com. He's going to work you out. He's going to give you the physical therapy. He's going to get you right. But if this was less of a Craig issue and this was more of a something happened at the course issue, and we need to hit up the golf course for a little cash, then we're going to call Hewitt Domaduris. I think also I want to give a shout out to one half of Hewitt Domaduris, my good friend Dean Domaduris, who is half of that duo, and today is his birthday, and so I want to say happy birthday to him. And also I think it's going to be great to see how many different ways we can pronounce his name on the air. So that's fantastic. All right.
Real quick. You know what the key was to Monday? My volleyball coach is golfing in a Michigan amateur tournament this week up in northern Michigan. That solved all of our ills. I had a colleague who was playing from the Reds, and she was crushing the ball. And then my good buddy, the amateur, was making sure that we were close. I think we eagled two of the par fives, and we won 2 skins this week. So it's a nice little week of golf.
We've got some fun stuff to talk about tonight, but just really quickly in honor of Father's Day, what's your favorite moment as a dad? I know that, you know, it's something that's very special to both of us, very near and dear to us. Is there one thing that sticks out to you that you would say that is the thing that is your favorite about being a dad?
It's the everyday ordinary moments. So it was tonight. My wife had to go do some work. She's like, "Are you good if I go?" I said, "Yep." So me and the little one, we went to dinner. It was just the two of us. She had her macaroni and cheese. I had a southern fried chicken poutine, which was phenomenal.
Wow.
But a little Louisiana hot sauce for the Tigers on that one, which was good.
We love that.
But it's those everyday moments that I get to spend, whether I'm driving her to school, she's hanging out with me at work, or we're going to dinner. It's just being her dad and her being the light of my life. I know that with your 2 little ones, you probably feel the same. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm sporting the Father's Day gift here that StreamYard thinks is censored, and we keep blurring it, but that's fantastic. That's probably my camera. So this hat is made from a onesie that both of my daughters wore. The dad that's in the front of it there is cut out of that material. So special gift today. So, you know, shout out to all the dads out there. We are loving it. All right.
Yep.
Let's move over to some news that matters. First and foremost, first of all, there's a lot happening this week. Don't let anybody fool you by telling you that the summer is boring in college athletics. And even in college football, we still have plenty of news.
Mm-hmm.
We still have plenty to get to. All right, so let's start with baseball. I'll just give you the update. Day 1 in Omaha, Coastal Carolina takes out Arizona 7-4. Oregon State beats Louisville 4-3, UCLA over Murray State 6-4, and then the big one for us, LSU defeats Arkansas 4-1. Pitchers duel. There's really one inning in that game that or one half inning, I guess, that made the difference. They both threw their ace, and Arkansas's guy Root kind of gets hit around early in the game. He comes out after 38 pitches, I believe. Question for me is, are they going to try to use him again? But Gackle comes in to out of the pen, and Cade Anderson for LSU pitched to Jim. And so between those two, you didn't really see much more on the scoreboard. So that was kind of it. It was 3-0 after that second inning, and that's pretty much where it stayed. LSU wins the game 4-1. Today,
did we see the seventh time in 9 trips that LSU has won their first game?
Yeah, and every time that and all 7 of those times they've won it all. So interesting pattern. We'll kind of see how that plays out. At this point, to be quite honest with you, they're in the driver's seat, right?
Yep.
You had to come into this thing thinking Arkansas, LSU. It was really unfortunate that they get matched up this early, but whoever comes out of that game is going to be in a good spot. So today, Louisville with an incredible comeback to eliminate Arizona. That score was 8-3, but through 7, Arizona was firmly in control. Just felt like the game was in their hands. And then right now, as we are live on the air, Coastal Carolina up 3-1 in the bottom of the third as Oregon State just hit a home run. So that's kind of where we're at. Tomorrow you'll get Arkansas and Murray State in that elimination at 2. And then the winners bracket, UCLA and LSU back on the field tomorrow night at 7.
We may got a couple people asking, but the lacrosse person of our pairing has a question. Why did Arkansas and LSU get paired with each other, being that they were both seated like that? Why are they both together versus having them spread out and play some of these lesser teams?
Well, yeah, I think it's just seeding is the way that it lands, but it's a little bit of the luck of the draw in that way and kind of where they landed. You can make, if this was football, then we're having an argument about matchups and did the committee do it on purpose and all those sorts of things. I think when it comes to baseball and basketball, we have a little more faith in committees because they've existed for a little longer and the tournaments are bigger, and so you're waiting on seeding to kind of land where it lands. But yeah, like I said, pretty unfortunate. But it is what it is. I think that what we could have seen is, if you look at the field here in Omaha, these 8 teams, you can make an argument that LSU and Arkansas are the top 2. And so it would have been great to have them on opposite sides of the bracket. That's just looking at it from, to be fair, some SEC biased standpoint, I suppose. But Coastal looks really, really good. And so I'll be interested
straight,
to
I
see.
believe, coming into
Yeah, they are absolutely on fire. And, JB asked the question on Inside the Gamecocks earlier in the week: is Coastal one of the hottest teams or one of the best teams? Because you can say that about, like, obviously Murray State's not one of the best teams in the country, but they're hot, or they have been hot. And you look at a team like LSU, one of the best teams. Where does
you want to be the best, or do you want to be hot at this point?
You want to be both. And I think that,
and that was both. Don't play the middle. Give me one of them, Mr. Williams.
No, I think that was the answer, though, is that and I think it was Mike Morgan, and I could be wrong, but if you're just good and you don't lose, I mean, look at the streak. That you can't say they're not hot.
Right, but the thing is, though, especially in college, it's not boring professional. You play hot, you get a little confident. You feel good. The boys are clicking. You've got whatever's going on. So you've got the good mojo going. I think you want to get hot. I think you want to be, obviously you want to be good, and everyone's good at this point. But if you're hot, there's some intangibles, but there's that confidence piece that you cannot shake.
Yep, no doubt about it. And I think the confidence in sports, and we talk about this all the time, but just from a mental standpoint, it's more mental than what a lot of people realize. So we'll see what happens.
For sure.
The rest of the night tonight, we'll keep you updated on what's happening with Coastal. LSU, like I said, pretty much in the driver's seat. Shout out to Texas A&M and Georgia winning men and women's national championships. And then the Georgia women winning by 26 points. You want to elaborate on that a little bit? I see you putting that in the agenda for us.
Just the Georgia women have absolutely crushed it. Coaches in her second year came in, and just a big one for the Dogs. And it's finally good to see Texas A&M finally win something. I mean, they've had that proverbial
Putrid
plaque.
year.
They've had that national championship ready since they hired Jimbo a few years ago. So it's nice to see the crazy dancers finally get something and something to dance about.
You know what? One of these days we're going to get you to do that dance, Craig.
I'll be
one
there.
of these days.
I'm good.
One of these days we're going to see if you can do it. All right.
I'm ready.
So, I thought about saving this story, but let's just hit the highlights here.
Okay.
So you have an employee of Josh Heupel. His name is Grant Ferking. That's Ferking. Yeah, exactly. I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that correctly. Grant Ferking is an employee of Josh Heupel, also employed by Tennessee's NIL, and also an employee of On3. So Shannon Terry comes out and says, like, we have no knowledge of this. He lied to us. But you have a guy who is helping put, for the record, I believe Shannon Terry. But you've got a guy who's putting NIL valuations on people for On3, who also works for an NIL collective at Tennessee and is in some ways tied to Josh Heupel in the football program. Just off the top of your head, how does this story not see more of the light of day? And are we shocked that this is Tennessee?
One, we're not shocked as Tennessee. I think we're more shocked that the money wasn't coming in a McDonald's bag or a Chick-fil-A bag. But
no doubt.
I'm not shocked to see the NIL, the Tennessee collective and Heupel both being, him being a contracted employee with them. I do like Shannon Terry. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job. He's got Rivals going. He's got On3. On3, I think we both have had a love-hate relationship with that.
Sure.
They have been a disruptor when it comes to sports media. I always felt like if we're looking from more of a national perspective, The Athletic has always done a good job. I feel like they took the torch from what Sports Illustrated used to be when I was in high school and in college. And On3, I think, has done a good job of sensationalizing. They do a great job with their graphics and their media. But I also think that On3 has also played a dangerous game. At times, you've seen Shannon Terry go after coaches. You've seen him go after collectives, kind of like blurring the line between media, fanboy, and something else. So does this shock me? No. And let's be honest, Shannon Terry's pretty smart. He knows what he's doing. He knows the money and just doesn't know that Mr. Ferking, did I say it right?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll give it to you. I'll give you half credit, partial credit.
Looks like close enough. But to know like what this guy's doing, we've had a resume, we've had a conversation. We know that he was connected playing with the Volunteers, was very active in that NIL space early on. There was something intriguing that brought him onto On3 and something else that got them there. So to claim ignorance, is probably not going to work. But
what are you going to do?
Yeah, I don't think it hurts On3. I think we all understand what On3 is. They do have some good stories. Pete Nakos did a phenomenal job.
Is there any way that this brings another legal sanction situation to Tennessee? I mean, first of all, when we got the text about it, the original information was before you even get to the On3 stuff, working with the NIL collective and the football program is a rules violation.
Yeah, but I get it. Like letter of the law it is.
Let me guess. The NCAA doesn't have any teeth here, so they're not going to do anything.
NCAA doesn't have any teeth, but you cannot tell me over the last 3 years of NIL that
Sure.
collectives and the athletic department and the coaching staffs were not intimately working together. You look at a place like Ole Miss with the Grove Collective and what Lane Kiffin has done and the relationships between there. You're all of a sudden just going to tell me that Lane became the portal king by not being intimately close with what the Grove Collective was doing? I'm sorry. Like let's not put our head in the sand.
Yeah, but when we
To
talk
me-
about employment, which is what was reported here, I feel like we're crossing even another line. Like, yeah, if you want to be intimately involved with them, that's one thing. But if you're going to put them on the payroll,
how's it different? How's
that's
it different
leaving
than?
I'm not ethically, it's not. But it's leaving a paper trail. It's stupid. That's what it is.
But how is it different than having these general managers? You know, we've looked at universities across the way,
Loophole.
LSU omit loopholes, but like just because they were sloppy. And
Sure.
why does the story
Sure.
come out? Does the story come out more because of the On3 connection or because
Yeah.
of the NIL and the Tennessee
Yeah,
connection?
it's on through. You're right.
So
All
I
right.
mean, to me, yeah, nothing burger, but like again, not surprised. But Tennessee continues to be a little sloppy. But you know, Danny White's done a nice job with the Volunteers. Heupel's done a pretty good job.
Yep.
But you got to clean this stuff up.
All right. I hate to say this, but one more piece of NIL news before we move on. And I'm so ready to talk about actual sports on the field, football specifically. But let's go here for a second.
Okay.
The NIL Go Clearinghouse is officially up and running.
Yep.
Happened pretty quickly. We asked Tony about this before. Any thoughts on what we're going to see early in the summer here? I mean, it took no time.
Yep.
It took no time to get this thing. They were ready to roll.
They had it, you know, Dellinger and everybody had the PowerPoint slides of, hey, this is the process of what's going on.
And those were really helpful. If you haven't checked those out, I would recommend just, search Ross Dellinger on X, and it's probably pinned.
If you're not reading Ross Dellinger on a weekly or daily basis, you're doing it wrong. I mean, to me, he's the godfather of college football right now. But he's done a really good job. But a lot of these deals, I guess, are getting greenlit, and a lot of them are being cleared within a couple of minutes. What's going to be interesting is what are those conversations like? When are we going to hit friction? When are we going to hit that friction point where somebody says, this looks bad, and when do we say this isn't going to be it? Because to me, that's when we're going to have an issue, is when we actually have this point where the two sides will come together and kind of blow up. So I'm curious to see when that happens. And again, this is the point where I'm going to push back on Tony. Tony talks about how, he talked about last week when we had him on. He's like, oh, these big NIL deals are going away because we're going to get fair market value.
Yep.
I'm sorry, the last 2-3 years, fair market value has changed for what a college athlete cost. Because we have $20.5 million doesn't mean that we're going to all of a sudden go back.
Yeah, I just have trouble thinking that they're going to be able to tell, again, in a free market, a business, they can't pay that amount of money.
Right.
It's not going to stick. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to stick at all. All right. Remember, if you have aches and pains and ailments, that you need to go and talk to our guys like Craig. But you know what? Craig's approaching middle-aged. He's approaching middle-aged. And so there is plenty of physical therapy that can be done there, but we have a younger audience out here too, right? We can't see your dad bod shirt. It's
not a dad bod. It's a father figure.
All we can see is your Death Valley background. All right. But we have a younger audience here who is still trying to stay in the prime of their athleticism. And so if you want to reach peak performance and you want to rehab the injuries that you may have experienced, or you just want to stay toned and fit, then you need to talk to TriFit Performance. Talk to our guy, Mitch. Go to TriFitPerformance.com. We're going to jump to a break right now. But when we come back, we're going to have a little fun, maybe talk a little Jell-O shots in Omaha. We'll be right back.
Do it.
SEC Sunday night.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
Oh man, the building is on fire.
Emergencies and accidents happen. When you're in the middle of a fire or water
we're
event,
back.
all you want is for things to return to normal as soon as possible. Resto Pros of the Midlands is with you, guiding you through the process and working with you to get your home or office back in working order. They'll answer your questions, discuss procedures, and can act as your advocate when it comes to processing your insurance claim. Resto Pros Midlands SC.com. Open 24/7 when you need them. Quality that is guaranteed.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
Yo, what's up?
Baby, let's go!
All right, and we're back on SEC Sunday Night with Pat McEvoy from Rocco's in Omaha. Pat, how are we doing tonight?
Doing fantastic, having a great time, and already starting to sell some Jell-O shots.
Perfect. Well, to get started, we obviously know that Rocco's is well known for the Jell-O shots. Can you give us a little insights into how it all got started and a little bit of the history behind it before we get started?
Yeah, absolutely. We started it as something fun when, the first series that was down here before it was Rocco's, it was a different bar, and the Florida and South Carolina final in 2011 at the new stadium, the first one at the new stadium, the Florida fans were down, so they wanted some rally shots. So we made them, some bombs. And then, South Carolina fans they were like, well, if they have their signature drink, we need a signature shot too. And so they were sending them back and forth, but we weren't keeping track. It was just a fun thing to do. And then, the 6 months later, I'm sitting at a bar and I'm watching Nebraska play Creighton in basketball, which if you're not from Omaha, I realize how silly that may sound, but it is a pretty big rivalry up here. And the two guys that was at a dueling piano bar, and one guy starts playing Go Big Red and the other guy starts playing Let's Go Jays, and whoever has more money in their tip jar, that's the guy that's playing. And so people are throwing chairs out of the way to trip over themselves to put hundreds of dollars in the tip jar for their squad. And I thought it was a cool idea. I thought those guys were geniuses. And so that next series, I was like, let's just make shots for all 8 teams and keep track. That way a fan base, if they say, oh, our fans are the best, well, prove it by buying the most shots, and so that it went from there for a while, and no social media or nothing. You just had to be in Omaha and be in the bar to kind of know about it. And then in 2019, the new owners was, Kevin Colgett was asking me, he's like, how did you do this thing? So I told him, and he said, yeah, that's really cool, but let's make it these, instead of having to set out 20 shots and free pour them, it's like, let's just make these, these pre-pack, or let's just, buy these prepackaged Jell-O shots and sell them. You can just hand them 20 if they want them. So that's easier for me as a bartender. So that's perfect. So we did it then, and we got to go. We figured, not again, maybe 300-400, whatever it is, having a good time. Yep. And then I start the social media for it, and then the thing got really nuts.
That's fantastic. So I think LSU had the record 2 years ago. Is that correct?
Yep, they bought 68,888 shots.
So how do you like plan for that, like this season? Obviously, so with SEC Sunday Night, we're obviously focused on LSU and Arkansas, 2 fan bases that know how to party a little bit. But like, how are you guys planning that, getting ready for the series to get going?
It's, we have 120. We have a new Jell-O shot company this year. We got a group called Jot Shots that are in, and 4 different flavors, and they gave us 120,000 Rocco's branded Jell-O shots. So they're all here and they're ready. We'll start each day with about 17,000 with the rest in the warehouse, and we staff up. We try to make it as easy as possible, and then after that, it's just you just kind of batten down the hatches and weather the storm.
That is perfect. What are the 4 flavors you have going on for the series this year?
We have a fruit punch, we've got a berry, we've got a margarita, and we've got a lemon drop. So you got your red, you got your gold, you've got a blue one and a green one. So trying to, in years past, we tried to do team colors, but it's really difficult to keep the right team color. It's hard to make, okay, well, is someone going to want purple, or are they going to want gold? Is someone going to want red or white? So we decided to just stick with the 4 main flavors, and that way, any shot you do is, it doesn't matter what color you do, as long as you tell us what team you want it to go for, that'll get counted.
That's awesome. That is so cool. So who are the favorites to win the shots challenge this year? What are the odds looking like?
Obviously LSU, because they hold the record currently, is the going favorite. Arkansas, it's a 6-hour drive, 6.5-hour drive to Fayetteville, and so that's an easy trip for the Hogs fans. We were just down there. We took some shots with us to the regionals a couple weekends ago, and had a good time down in Fayetteville, because that's an easy trip for us. So we know a lot of that. They're thirsty and they're hungry and they're ready to party. So I know the Hogs fans will come up. And then then everybody else is kind of an unknown. You don't know how Omaha is going to react. You don't know if they're gonna jump on the bandwagon with Murray State or Coastal Carolina. So some of those other schools are unknowns, but definitely the two going away with it. The 2 favorites are the 2 SEC schools, obviously. That's
cool. Yeah, Coastal's been a fun story this year. I'm sure that their fans are going to be ready to go and ready to party with us.
They bought the first 2 shots of the day. Coastal Carolina took the early lead. So
that is fantastic. What about you guys got any other specials going on this week? We'll give you a little plug, little run for Rocco's if you'd like.
I mean, it's the people come for the Jell-O, but they stay for the atmosphere and the pizza. I mean, our pizza's phenomenal too, and we're right across from Gate 2, right across the street from the stadium, and so get a little food in you, get a couple Jell-O shots, have a nice cold beer. We'll have the AC turned all the way down, because it might be a hot one this weekend.
That's fantastic. That's awesome. Pat, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us, and we wish you obviously nothing but the best. And we'll be cheering for the Tigers and calling the Hogs all week for the series. So.
Absolutely, man. And again, it's great because $1 from every shot goes to the food banks on that campus. So we donated in the last 3 years. Kevin and Bonnie Colgett, the owners, have donated over $350,000 to fight food insecurity, all from selling some Jell-O shots. So it's a cool deal, and it's a fun story. But really, it's the charitable aspect of it is what makes it a game winner.
That's perfect. That's perfect. All right, my friend. I will talk to you soon. I appreciate your time.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you, man.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
At TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, we believe true health and peak performance start with personalized care. Whether you're an athlete recovering from injury or just chasing your next personal best, we're here to guide your journey. With expert coaching, hands-on therapy, and transparent cash-based pricing, you get the care you need without the insurance red tape. One client drove 100 miles just to see us and said it was worth every mile. Contact us at trifitperformance.com or 803-353-5619. TriFit Physical Therapy and Performance, where recovery meets results.
When playing sports, you want a coach that will fight for you. At Hewitt Diamaduros Law Firm, we've got your back. Whether it's personal injury, insurance disputes, negligence, or wrongful death, our team delivers exceptional legal services that makes meaningful difference in the lives of the individuals and families we work for. Visit hdlawsc.com. hdlawsc.com. Hewitt Diamaduros, we're on your team.
This is SEC Sunday Night, part of the Chief Sports Network.
Welcome back to SEC Sunday Night here live on the Chief Sports Network. We are so thankful to Pat for coming in from Rocco's. We were able to grab that early in the week and just talk about what was coming up. I think that we do have an update so that we can talk about who is leading. No doubt about it here that we know LSU is going to dominate this. And as you can see here on screen, they've just posted an update on X. Make sure that you guys go out there. If you're watching and listening to us now and you're on X, go and follow them at the CWS Jell-O Shot Challenge and keep up with what's going on in this competition. This really speaks to the beauty of fans, just college athletics, but really the SEC, right? 12,737 shots already for LSU. And then you do have Arkansas at 5,366 there. But here's the deal. Pat said in the interview with you, Craig, that you never know who the locals are going to grab onto. And there's people here that are just college baseball fans, right, that are going to go. This place is an incredible environment. You're talking about right across from the stadium. You're talking about pizza. It's a perfect baseball day. So everybody that goes in gets to choose the fan base if they're buying Jell-O shots, right? So obviously if you're there for your team, you're doing well. Coastal's kind of holding their own there at 3,600, and then it tails off after that. But let's talk about second place. The people's choice, I would say, Murray State at 6,117, over 6,000. Now, that's still not even half of what LSU is doing.
Still second though.
But it is still second. And so outpacing an SEC team in Arkansas as Murray State is a shout out to that fan base. But I really do believe they've become the people's choice. Everybody that goes into Rocco's is, if you don't have an affiliation, you are a racer and you're choosing Murray State when you go up and buy a Jell-O shot.
What? So my question is this the beauty of an expanded playoff? Is this like a UMBC when they knocked off UVA? Like Murray State's a cool story. The coach may or may not cut the grass. They've got like the stadium that is nowhere near SEC facilities. It's a cool. I mean, it's a cool story. It's a great story. I was totally bummed to see them lose. But you do think it's interesting. And before we talk any more about this list, is this a Boise State? Like, did Boise State get this much love for the college football playoff? Is there a group of 5 team that in a 16-team college football playoff that could get as much love as Murray State?
No,
PJ Fleck rolled the boat from a few years ago. Come on now. I actually went to Western Michigan to see PJ Fleck coach.
Here's the deal, though. Here's the deal, though. PJ Fleck and Minnesota or Boise State or you name it is making no noise in the college football playoff. Am I wrong? Did we really believe Boise State was going to come in and make a run? I'm not talking about James Franklin. I know where you're going. I'm talking about making a deep run. Did anybody believe that was going to happen? Absolutely not. Absolutely. I'll answer it. Stop thinking about it. Absolutely not. In this case, it's possible.
But is making Omaha the 16-team playoff? Because you're there.
Well, you're down to 8 at this point.
Okay, so what do they got to do? Boise had to win a game?
Yeah.
Big game James had to, mid-game James?
Yes. I just think from a fan standpoint, if you're just a fan of the sport and you're watching, there's no belief in a G5 in the college football playoff.
Okay, so here's my second question.
But there is belief in Murray State because in the game of college baseball, they can make the run. Yeah. They could. They still can.
They won't, but okay.
But it is much more plausible than anywhere else. You have Cinderellas in basketball.
Yep.
And you can have these Cinderellas in baseball.
Okay.
They can win a game or two. It has
All right.
happened.
I can't wait till December until we get our next Cinderella.
It has happened. Football Cinderella? Yeah, because
football
that's
Cinderella.
forced because of the format. Don't get me started. All right, let's talk about what you're writing this week. You want to take this?
Can I ask one more Jell-O shot question?
I suppose so. I mean, it's pretty fun. We don't have to move off of it right away.
Is UCLA a serious program? Like, is that really the best that the Big Ten could do? 860 Jell-O.
Are we talking about baseball, or are we talking about Jell-O shots? Because we're talking about baseball, very serious program. We're talking about.
I'm just talking about UCLA. Like
partying. I don't think they're there. I don't think they traveled well enough to be there to get it done.
It's just it's a disappointment. It's your only Big Ten team. Yeah, I had to look. Like how weird is it? You got to look at like UCLA. Is that a Big Ten team? Is that not?
Yeah,
is that?
It's hard. Yeah, it's difficult. All right.
Yeah, where's the Big Ten at? I thought it was the Big Two.
It's not in this game.
Asking for my friend Drew Crabtree.
That's a football conversation when we talk about the Power 2. I don't think we're talking Power 2 when it comes to baseball. All right.
No.
So you had an article this week.
I did.
Walk us through a little bit of what your thoughts are here.
So the SEC came out this week and they announced basically the schedules, the TV schedules for the SEC.
Here's the thing. Can I cut you off really quickly just to start off?
Hang on. To be clear, ladies and gentlemen, he said, "Would you please walk us through your article?" And then I get through half a sentence, and he's like, "Just one second."
Well, you gave us the lead in, but here's the thing. Here's the thing is that you said they gave us schedules, but they gave us windows. And how many times were flexed? So did we really get any news?
Yes,
75% of it's flexed. Get out of here. Okay, sorry. Continue.
No, I need to calm down. I need to take my breath.
Hang on there, Taylor. You need to calm down. All right.
I need to calm down.
You've been in dad mode too long today. Happy Father's Day. We get it, but continue with your article.
So here's the beautiful thing. It is not so much about it is a windows, because this is what the SEC does, and this is why the SEC has differentiated itself from the Big Ten. And this is the thesis statement. You totally stole my thunder. Yes, the SEC this week did announce TV schedules, but more importantly, they showed windows. And this is the differentiating factor. The Big Ten got more money from Fox, NBC, and CBS for their gaggle of 18 teams. What's interesting is those three have made the decision that noon is the best time for the Big Ten to play, because apparently everyone is old like me in Big Ten country and needs to go to sleep after the 3:30 game. And what you see happen with the SEC, I think, is the most genius part. And this is where I'm really excited. ESPN is announcing their streaming network coming up early this fall. I'm going to guess it's going to coincide right with college football, the college football season. Basically, for $30 a month, you can get ESPN, all of the ESPN channels, and ESPN Plus for about $30. So I think that's going to be a hell of a deal. But what they've provided us is the SEC now has a couple of windows. They have an early window, which we'll call the Big Noon window, which are games at 12 and 12:45. It's a nice staggered kick. Rather than everything kicking off at noon, you get a 12:45 on the SEC network, which I think is great. You have that 3:30 now, the 3:30, 2:30 Central kick, which is a nice window as well. That was traditionally the strong CBS window. That was always the best game of the week in college football and also the SEC. And man, what a disappointment for CBS. You've got like Iowa and Minnesota playing for that. It's horrible. Minnesota. I didn't turn on CBS once this year. This is why Gary Danielson.
Some of the matchups that they're already advertising this year are just.
It's not great.
If you have Purdue in your 3:30 window, you're in trouble.
Did Purdue win 3 games last year?
I'm gonna be honest. I can't tell you Purdue's record in 2024, but we're here to talk about the SEC.
So here's the best. Here's the best part. We have time staggered. We have noon. We have 12:45. We have ESPN. We have ABC. We have ESPN2. There's a variety of networks, so we can spread out games. We've got that 3:30, 2:30 window. Now the most important part is they did highlight a couple of games. Alabama and Georgia is going to kick on September 29th at 7:30. We knew that already going in. Let's hope Georgia doesn't wear black, because, again, Georgia's probably going to go to their funeral and lose that game. But what they did is they provided these flex games. These are for those teams.
A lot of them.
Right. But there's good reason. As Rob talks about his lovely spreadsheet, there's a lot of teams that can win somewhere between 8 and 10 games in the SEC.
Sure.
I would say
which is huge now. Which is huge now because that used to not be a 8 to 10 it would have been noteworthy, but that's playoffs now. Like we're talking that is a playoff contender if you're in that 8 to 10 range.
Yeah, you're a playoff contender. So depending on the matchup, depending on what's going on, we can put that in an optimal viewing perspective. And the way the flex schedule works is that game will either be at 3 or 4. So that could be the afternoon game on ABC, that could be an ESPN, that could be an SEC network, that later kick, or that could be one of the night games. And all that's doing is helping to build the audience. If you look at the Nielsen ratings last year, of the top 50 games, the SEC had like 3/4 of the games, if not more. It was like between 3/4 and 80% of the top viewed games, over 5 million viewers. And it is because they are able to stack these games. They're able to create something enticing at noon. They put the 3:30 game on there, and then they crescendo with Fowler and Herb Street at the late game. And then with our YouTube TV or our Apple TV, we're able to do some multi-views. And this is where I think is the genius of the SEC. And this is why they need to go to 9 games. Is if I'm Greg Sankey, I'm looking at the Nielsen ratings from last year. I'm also going to look at the Nielsen ratings from this year. And I'm going to say you have 75 to 80% where you're getting 5 million at minimum. For most of these games, you're getting between 9 and 12 million viewers. Pay us the money. Give us, and we're going to give you another week. We're going to give you that week 9 schedule, and we're going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I think it's all, like you said, it's kind of all rooted in money. So we're just we're playing a little bit of a waiting game to figure out when they're going to cut the check, and then we're going to see that schedule change for the SEC. The problem for me, as we've talked about multiple times, is what does that do to the SEC's presence in the playoff? And this ties back into everything, right?
Yep.
Because if you add the 9th game, we add the Big Ten Challenge, we have some teams that are already playing ACC teams. You're going to have no breaks. And some of our non-SEC colleagues would say that you have breaks when you play teams like Mississippi State or, dare we say, Vanderbilt. But those teams punch up. Mm-hmm. And they cycle up. It really just like, okay, so Notre Dame scheduled Texas A&M and Arkansas this year. Mm-hmm. And you can look at it and go, middle tier, maybe, right? But when they scheduled those teams, what were they? Maybe they weren't middle. I don't know when those schedules are made. Some schedules are made 15 years in advance. Maybe they were better.
Maybe it was Arkansas anything but middle. Are we talking like Bobby Petrino?
Sure.
Year one, when they were like 10-3, they would go like 10 wins and then just get absolutely housed by LSU and Alabama.
Yeah, sure.
So,
but you see what I'm saying? Like, but they've been stronger than they are now.
Yeah, they are. But you know, the more I think about this, and I know we talked about it. Why do the crossover with the Big Ten? Let's be honest. If you're not playing Michigan, you're not playing Ohio State, Oregon, USC. Is it really worth it? And yes, I did not include Penn State because yes, they have a whiteout, but they're not a serious program. At some point, they're going to have to actually be able to punch up and play their way to be considered a serious program. But like once you get outside that top 4 to 6 schools in the Big Ten, it's a joke. So to me, if I'm the SEC, go to 9. Keep your ACC rivalries that you have. And then if you want to play a Big Ten team, go play a Big Ten team. You want to go play a Big 12 team, go play a Big 12 team.
Yeah, I agree. My problem is after that top 4, it gets difficult.
Yeah. Do you want to go to Iowa City?
What are those matchups?
Nothing good. Nothing.
Because you're going to get out of the top 4 in the SEC, and you're still going to have like last year. What? Ole Miss.
Yep.
Yeah.
To me that's where it's more interesting to just go schedule the best. Go figure out what you want to do. You know, Ole Miss did it right this year. They're playing Georgia State week 1. That's the right call. That's the right move. That's a good move for them. But I think at the end of what's most important is play more SEC games. We are going to 16. We're going to do the 5+11. Know that for the most part, we're going to have a playoff where we're going to have 5 or 6 SEC teams in.
Yep.
Let it take care of itself. Don't worry about doing anything more.
All right. Here's a quick live update for you. Coastal Carolina with a ball off the wall to score another run. It is now 6-1. Chanticleers over the Beavers in the 5th. All right. Now, let's mount a defense here, and a defense that is worthy of Hewitt-Damaduras law, right? We need somebody who's going to stand up for us. We need somebody who's going to defend us. We need somebody who's going to win us the cash. Let's amend the schedule a little bit here and see if you and I can't debate this just a little bit. And let's go top 5, considering the time. Top 5 SEC fan bases. Tonight is all about the fans, baby. We're talking about LSU and Arkansas and Omaha. We're talking about Rocco's. We got Pat McEvoy on the show. We're talking about Jell-O shots. We're talking about SEC fandom. It just means more, Craig. It doesn't just mean more on the field, but it just means more off the field as well. And we know that these fan bases outperform from a passion standpoint fan bases around the country. You are in Big Ten country. You are up there with Big Blue.
I'm in Baton Rouge.
Big time. Oh, sorry. Forgot about that. The real Death Valley. You're up there with a significant portion of the Big Ten world.
Mm-hmm.
But we know what happens with these fan bases. So you want to kick us?
You want
to kick us off? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to say anything. You just follow exactly what I tell you to do.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure you'll just cut me off and tell me and get me back on track. So I'm sure that'll work. Speaking of Michigan, it's a wine and cheese crowd. They're going to go park across the street at the golf course.
Yep.
They may have some party, but it's not It's not ruckus. It's not passionate. The Big House is one of the most quiet places that I have ever seen a game. So at no point is it anything the same. And I remember taking my wife, who is a Big Ten grad, not Michigan, the other one, she's a true Spartan. Remember taking her down to the 2018 SEC championship. And my Bulldogs lost. Jalen came in that game and broke our hearts. But I remember taking her to the SEC Fan Fest before that. And she looked at me, and we've been together 11 years at that point. She knew about my fandom. And she goes, I get it.
Yeah.
You couldn't have
just. It looks different.
Right. She goes, you couldn't have described it. She goes, I felt it. I cannot tell you how excited she was when SEC Nation was there and she saw Paul. And she's like, there's Paul. That's what we're looking at. But, we just had a blast. And we had so much fun. And that is why I am glad I'm not covering I almost said the boring 10, but the Big Ten. The Big Ten.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a snooze fest sometimes, especially when everything's at noon. All right, let's just make this our last word, okay? Last word is how we close on the show every week.
Yep.
And we are excited to bring you the last word this week with our top 5 fan bases in the SEC. You want me to start? You want to kick it off? Let's start with number 5 and count our way down.
All right, go ahead.
I'm going to start with the Georgia Bulldogs at 5.
Who's that coming down the track?
Solid. It's the barking for me. If we're really rating things on passion, I have to give them some credit and I have to give them some props. And so, Samford gets a bad rap, I think, a little bit. And at times, I think it's that just familiarity breeds contempt. And so there's such a standard of we want it to be what it is, that we want it to be at this certain level. And there's an expectation that you're going to come in and win. And so I think I do agree that at times it feels like a lull a little bit there, but they get up for the games, the big games. And, they're going to have plenty of them this year because everybody's coming to Athens. Bama, Ole Miss, Texas. Am I wrong? Everybody's coming to Athens. So you're going to get your features of Sanford in the primetime window for sure.
What's Georgia's record in the 2020s at Sanford Stadium?
Yeah, that's a big point of discussion right now, actually.
22-0, 26-game winning streak.
It does not survive the year.
According to our spreadsheet, it does not.
It does not survive the year.
You
According to
have
the
three.
spreadsheet.
You have three great matchups, especially this year at Sanford.
Yep.
Usually, and I'll be honest, there's been some not great home schedules for the Bulldogs, but Georgia Nation has.
Wait, you're not excited about Austin P?
Austin P and Charlotte. I thought I was looking at the Gamecock schedule first, but I wasn't.
Moving on.
Ole Miss, Texas, and Alabama.
Yep.
Those are going to be so much fun, and those are going to be electric atmospheres. So I think Dog Nation is going to show up. But here's the other thing where you're also going to see that passionate fan base. Where does game day usually go? Game day is usually in Athens at least once or twice, not just because they're the number one team in the nation, but because those fans show out.
Yep, no doubt. What's your number 5?
I have Texas
I saw you
A&M.
making Texas A&M at 5.
Yep.
Why?
Because they're weird.
Defend yourself. That's why they should be in there.
112,000 people at Kyle Allen Field,
and they're all weird.
They're all weird. They're doing their dancing. They've got their white jumpsuits on.
They're weird
together. But to me, that is a bucket list spot, though, isn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
You want to go to Kyle Field. You want to see them get a little bit weird. But yeah, Texas A&M's at number 5.
All right, number 4. I'm headed to where you are, right there in your background, to the Bayou. I'm taking LSU at number 4. We're really slicing it thin here, but I'm going with LSU. Rabid fan base. Obviously, when it comes to baseball, they're on a much different level. I'm looking overall though at the sports experience, and so obviously we know that football is going to be weighted higher in every one of these discussions. I think that there's just a little something different culturally down there that kind of sets them apart, and so that's why I'm going with LSU at number 4. I can still hear LSU ringing in my ears from any Baton Rouge experience I've had.
Number 4, I'm going to the Grove, baby.
No way.
I'm going to Ole Miss.
You're going to have to defend this better than Hewitt-Damaduras Law. That is insane. Ole Miss at 4?
Going for the party, baby. I'm going for the
Lane
party.
Lane has to beg the fans to stay in the stadium.
They've been there. Listen, he did that, and they've stayed. I don't have the stat in front of me, but they are tough to beat at home. They also throw a hell of a party, and that's one of the biggest things. What does the SEC do better than anybody else? They tailgate and they bring it, and they bring that energy.
That's Rocco's.
Yeah, that's Rocco's. So to me, we're gonna have our buddy IA on here in a few weeks, but it's Ole Miss just because of that passion, just because of the energy, because of that camaraderie. They bring something different, but they bring that hospitality.
Yep, no doubt. All right, so we're at 3. Let's head to the Plains. Home atmosphere. I saw a stat about this week that was just talking about Auburn's win-loss at home versus Georgia's, and it was kind of comparing what you were just talking about.
Yep.
But don't we know that things get very weird in Jordan-Hare? Things get very weird. Why? Why do they get weird there, Craig?
Kick 6, baby.
Why do they get weird there?
They get so weird. They've lost. They've lost 7 games 4 years in a row.
Why do we exactly? That even strengthens the point. Yeah. They haven't been good, and people still talk about this Auburn fan base and things getting weird in Jordan-Hare. Look at how they were last year, and people were like, I don't know, like the Iron Bowl, it's in Tuscaloosa, let's give it to Bama. But if it was in Auburn, we would lean the other way.
It's the swag. It's the swag. I mean, it's the swag surfing. It's an electric atmosphere. I was there when I was in college.
Different. It's different.
It is. It's special, and it's an energy that Gus Malzahn brought, and that Brian Harsin and Hugh Freeze continue to try. Is just misplaced.
What do you have at 3?
I'm going west of Auburn, and I'm going to Tuscaloosa, title town.
These picks, man.
Listen,
you're talking about wine and cheese.
Yes.
All that herringbone.
That's it. All that herringbone. You got the cheerleader. You got the cheerleaders in the stands. They're all ready to go. I mean, how many games have they won straight? They were close to South Carolina last year, but
we don't ever credit the fan base for wins in Alabama. We credit Nick Saban.
No, but what we do credit the fan base with, and this is part of it, is they demand excellence. That's why Brian Harsin's on the hot seat at 9-3, and if he's 9-3 again, while they'll be looking to do something else is because
I'm
they
just going to make a
demand
quick
and they
correction
expect.
that you just called Kalen DeBoer Brian Harsin. So we need to scrub that one just a little bit.
Phil, can we get that fixed?
Had your brain focused on Brian Harsin. He was just stuck in there. All right, at 2, I'm going 12th man, Texas A&M. We already talked about him. It's weird. It's wild. It's wacky. But I think because of the number, and I think because of I'm going to say it, cultish features, that it makes them set apart a little bit as the fan base. I think that everybody looks at them and goes, yeah, I don't know. It's just, but so when you put all those people in a room or in a stadium together, that does something different. You know what I mean? If everybody else thinks this stereotype is like, oh, I'm not sure. You put them all in a stadium together, it has some power, man.
It does.
What about you? Number 2?
Hook 'em, baby.
Okay.
Texas. And because
national brand.
It's a national brand. Look how much money they're spending in NIL. We won't bring in that dollar amount. I got my hand slapped last week for bringing up the number. But you bring the energy. They've won 4 Directors Cups in the last 5 years. Way to pass that up on the agenda, Mr. Host.
I was just going to tee it up for you.
But to me, like, they've brought the energy, they brought the passion, and I wouldn't be myself if I didn't give a shout out to CDC Chris Del Conte for bringing everybody together, including the Minister of Culture, Mr. Matthew McConaughey, to really just bring excellence to the Southeastern Conference and to really kind of, again, like I argued a couple weeks ago, Texas coming to the SEC has brought nitrous to that program because now they demand excellence and they want more and they want more and they want more rather than just settling for the Big 12 and saying, oh, we'll be all right, we'll be good. Now we're climbing it and we're looking for something.
Yeah, I agree with you. I actually have them at number 1, gunning for championships. I think that the national brand is a big thing that works in their favor. You know, it's the University of Texas. It's a huge population in terms of the state, and I think that plays in here. You look at what I just said. Georgia, pretty much the only program in the state. Sorry, Georgia Tech. LSU is the only power program in the state. Auburn, obviously you have major competition there, but then I think Texas, the state, is big enough to hold A&M and Texas and several others. But the state is just huge, and if most of the fans in the state are Longhorns, then that pumps this fan base to an absolute another level. You got a lot of history, but you got a lot of present and a lot of promise. And I think that's why I have Texas as number 1. What about you? Who's your 1?
How about them Tigers? LSU, baby. 160,000 descend upon Death Valley for a Saturday night in the Bayou. It's got to be LSU. This is the number 1 bucket list. Even more so than anywhere else. It is LSU. It is the classic uniforms. It is also the excellence. Again, we talk about Brian Kelly. We're going to have our good buddy Lou on in the next week or two talking about the expectations coming in. Brian Kelly has been good, 9 and 10 wins, but that's not good enough for LSU. They demand championships, and there's not a whole lot going on down there. The Saints haven't done a whole lot. It is LSU football through and through.
All right, let me ask you this. Last year, we campaigned regularly for our employer to send us to Oxford for the playoff.
Yep.
We got mixed reviews in response, but also Lane choked it away, or whoever, Jackson Dart, whoever want to put the blame on, right?
Yep.
And Ole Miss, in fact, did not have a playoff game. Are we putting our eggs in the LSU basket this year to say if one SEC team makes a college football playoff and they're hosting, this is where we want to go and cover the game, do a live show at the tailgate? Are we making this decision right now? Are we stamping this on LSU? Because you just said it was the number 1 bucket list.
I threw it as a number 1 bucket list, but what I'm saying, JB, JC, Mike, let
everybody pull it together. Hey,
let's pull it together. It doesn't have to be LSU. It doesn't have to be Ole Miss. It can be wherever we want. We'll all get together. We'll have a nice live show, and we'll have plenty of content and plenty of fun.
Hey, if you are on the Chief Sports Network, you have the Chief Sports app, then you're probably tuned in to all the shows, and so you're going to get this inside joke. And if you don't have the Chief Sports app, I'm sorry. You're going to miss the joke. You should download the app right now. But we'll just have JC have one more yard sale, and it'll pay for all of our tickets to get to a playoff game, to our airfare, for our hotels and everything. Okay, so we'll just make sure that we get that done, and we will get to Baton Rouge for the college football playoff. All right, my friend, it is Father's Day, and we are running out of time. Any shout-outs that you want to give on this Father's Day?
I do. I want to give one big shout out. So being a dad has been the single most incredible journey of my life, but it wouldn't have been possible without fertility treatments. Every little bit helps to make a difference in someone's lives. So I'm asking all of you to come together and help turn to others' dreams into a reality. I'll be posting a link in the chat for the chosen fertility group called Raise 'Em Up. What they do is they help folks and families who have struggles getting pregnant, and they help make it a dream for them. So that's my biggest Father's Day wish. So if you guys can help, be greatly appreciative.
Yep, absolutely. At McMichael7, you can see that there under Craig's name if you want to go follow him on X and make sure that you check out that great cause that you can be a part of as well. I want to say shout out to Pat McEvoy of Rocco's for giving us some time this week to talk about Jell-O shots, SEC fan bases, and all of the good stuff happening in Omaha, Nebraska right now. Again, it is 6-1 at the top of the sixth. Coastal over Oregon State, 1 out and 2 on for the Chanticleers. This has been SEC Sunday Night. Another shout out to TriFit Performance and Hewitt Domaduras Law for being our wonderful partners here. And we are looking forward to next week where we'll continue to talk about some baseball, and we're going to get into what we expect in the college football season. Thanks again for being with us here on the Chief Sports Network. We'll see you next week.